something you may forget about me is that I'm a stay-at-home dad. So a lot of my videos I make while my daughter is upstairs asleep. Well, this particular video, it's important that she's part of it, I think, is a physical illustration of this. When you look at my most popular video on this channel, and it's so popular that the #2 video on my channel only has less than half the views of the #1. The #1 video right now is 23andMe, my sister's DNA test results are different than mine. Very popular video, a lot of people commenting on it every day. And a lot of people are confused by it. A lot of people are saying, oh, are you sure you have the same parents? Is there something they're not telling you? You know, they'll say stuff like that. But what's interesting about it is, so many of us can be carrying genes that we're not aware of are so distant from what we look like. You see me, you see a guy who's mainly German and Spanish, according to MyHeritage DNA test results. And then you're like, wait, that's your daughter? Yeah, and you know, you've probably seen my wife before. She has a complexion and features much like mine. In fact, we made a video talking about how people have assumed we're brother and sister. We look so much alike. So then we have a child that looks like this, blue eyes, blonde hair. And so I'm making this video just as an illustration for anyone out there to understand that you can have genes in you that you don't notice, that you don't see. Now, if I were to do a DNA test on my daughter, she'd probably show a large amount of the British and Scottish and European genes that my dad showed. Because remember, my dad is 99% Northwestern European, most of that being British, and about a quarter of it being German, which is our last name is a German last name. So that doesn't surprise me. Those features are not prominent in me. You know, most of my features came from my mom. But when it came from me having my own children, and we have a son too, and he would look the same way when he was this age. It's just interesting. So I mean, and I know people will leave comments, are you sure that's your daughter? And they say the same thing about, you know, with me and my sister. Are you sure that you're brother and sister? But it's a matter of, and that's part of the fascination with these DNA tests, is you get to see what traits come out in you. And I know a lot of people disagree with me, but I believe it. And I'm fine if I'm in the minority of people who believe this, but I believe that when you take a DNA test, at least in everyone I've seen that's taken it, what it's revealed is, it's a projection of, you can see those physical traits come out in you yourself, which helps explain why I look so German and Spanish, because that's what my test shows. It shows I think it's 37% German, 32% Iberian, and then 21% Central American. And those are the features you see in me. Whereas my dad, you don't see those features. You see the features that he got, which are mainly the Northwestern European. And even with my mom, you know, she's showing what, 15% Jewish on there. And so you can see all these things in our test as we do these revelations on these videos, and we say, here's what we are. But I think it's interesting because I think when people take DNA tests, they want to think that if their parents are tested, then the child is going to be basically half of each of the parent, and it doesn't work that way, not the way these tests come out. So I'm fascinated by these tests. I'm fascinated by the fact that I came out so German and Spanish and Central American, and then this can be my daughter. And again, my son looks the same way, though my wife and I look very similar. So those genes came out in our children, but they're not that present in us. So to me, it's common sense by now. It makes sense to me, but I think a lot of people get confused. They have different expectations for the DNA test. They really think it's so cut and dry, when in reality, you have to imagine what is in your DNA that you don't see, that maybe doesn't show up in your own DNA test, but then you have a child and bam, there it is. You can clearly see. So what are your thoughts on that? I don't think this is anything groundbreaking, but I think it's important that basically I make sort of a follow-up to that popular video that's confusing so many people on how a brother and sister can have such different results, or even how parents and children can have such different results, or how parents and their children can look so differently, or how brothers and sisters can look so different. So if you have any thoughts on that, I'd love to hear them, because after all, so much of my videos are on your comments. It's a growing conversation. And also, let me close by saying thank you for watching this video. And if you choose to subscribe, I thank you for that, because I am a stay-at-home dad. Our income comes from me making these videos. This is my job now. I worked in HR for 10 years, and then they closed down the whole branch. So I said, okay, let's do YouTube. Anyway, thanks for watching, and thanks for the comments you're gonna leave. Man, she's gonna be taking a nap soon, huh?